Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the New York Cinema and to this special event as part of CineCity, Brighton Film Festival. When CineCity started in 2003, we thought that it would be a special part of our annual programming to devote not just time, but actually thinking about how best we could bring artists moving into work to this city. And so over the years, we've brought a range of work from Europe and the United States. This year was something quite adventurous for us, because not only did we want to work with the Quays brothers, but also to think about how we could actually devise an exhibition of their work. They had done 2 installations, one for the Rotterdam Film Festival, another one started in Leeds, and we thought it would be terrific to bring them to Brighton, which we've done. If you haven't seen the exhibition Inventorium at the University of Brighton Gallery, please go. It's a wonderful insight into their kind of enigmatic and mysterious world. Of course, accompanying the exhibition, which is on until the 20th of December, we've also had sets of screenings both here and at the University of Brighton Theatre. And tonight, of course, is something we've been waiting for because it's Timothy and Stephen Quay happily are with us this evening. And they're going to be interviewed by Gareth Evans, who knows their work very well, and then they'll take questions from you.
Great to see such a full house for the Brothers Quay. My name's Gareth Evans. I'm very, very pleased to have been asked by Tim here at CineCity to host this very special Q&A with the Brothers Quay. Thanks, of course, also to Frank and to everyone here, the Duke of York's and the festival in its wider incarnation. I don't need, of course, to remind you, if you haven't already seen it, to pay very serious attention to the Brothers exhibition at the University Gallery. We'll be talking about it a little bit later on. If you haven't already seen it, then I would run down there, immediately be finished, demand they open the space again, hold the caretakers to ransom, etc. It's an essential vision, and it really crystallises a lot of what the Brothers are about, and I hope some of those issues will come out in conversation, primarily with yourselves, not with me. I'm going to open the conversation out as soon as anyone wants to ask a question or make a comment or response. So do stick your hand up. I can see pretty well from here, so wave arms as soon as you want to, and we'll try and get a dialogue going. We've got a decent amount of time. I'm going to stop now, except to ask you to join me in welcoming the Brothers Quay. Stephen, Timothy, thank you very much for being here. I just wonder if we could, perhaps we try and bring the various elements that Tim has assembled here for the festival together to set ourselves a landscape. And very helpfully, we have a great exhibition alongside yours of Polish Film Festival posters, which in some ways might bring back memories of the exhibition of similar posters that you saw as students in Philadelphia, and which really sets you off, or perhaps expanded or reiterated a vision of culture that you've been aware of before. And I wonder if you could just tell us about that encounter, but also what it did for you in terms of the vision of work that you wanted to create.
You have to remember that we were kids once, and when we first went to the Philadelphia College of Art back in 1960. We were country kids. We lived way outside of Philadelphia. We'd only ever been to high school, and then suddenly we got accepted to the Philadelphia College of Art. And you walked up the steps, and the first day we walked into the building, you walked into this gallery on the right, and there was this, just pure by chance, was an exhibition of Polish posters. We're very quick to say that these were classic Polish posters from the deep communist times of '65 or the early '60s. And I think that the thing that if you look carefully at the posters, what you'll see that what struck us to the core, and two country hicks basically, was that you saw that there was both, you look at a poster now and it's filled with crap details like visa numbers, how many, what the hour, the time, a review, 13 reviews are written on the poster. These times that you would walk in the streets of Poland and these posters were up on every single street corner, and all it said were basically 3 simple texts. It said the author, it might be, say, an opera playing at the opera house. It would say Dostoevsky, musician Janacek, and then it would say House of the Dead. That was it. So it was this conjugation of basically 3 core elements, plus a very, very painterly image bristling with this kind of typography that almost every poster maker, he did his own typography. He didn't pass it off to the next person. They did it themselves. It was extremely, almost just painterly. So I think that for us, right away, it created a constellation that when we approached whether it was a film or our approach to art in general, was that, well, it's not to say that we did it, but what we were tempted to really condense it into this powerful image.
That's very useful, not least because of the fact that it brings together both the kind of influence and then the form of expression as a result of that into one image. How aware were you of the cultural landscape which you now fully inhabit at the time of encountering those posters?
I would have been totally naive. I mean, Janacek was just a name, we couldn't even pronounce it. The poster maker, his name was Lenica, we couldn't pronounce. We were totally, I think, engulfed by visuality. But the interesting thing was that we immediately went to the library. And I remember one time that it was a poster for a Kafka film, The Trial. And in an article that we looked at, trying to discover more about this realm, the person said Kafkaesque. So we went to the librarian and totally naive said, what does Kafkaesque mean? Because it wasn't in the dictionary. But he said, oh, go to the dictionary. And of course it wasn't there. But we now accept that there's that something sort of that you couldn't quite grasp with the notion of the Kafkaesque, and particularly applied to these posters. But I think what it created was that every time we saw, if we saw Dostoevsky or we saw Kafka, we ran to the library and investigated. Or Janacek, we then discovered his music. So every one of these positings of information was just a chance to discover what was this realm for us. So it was very slowly but it illuminated a realm of both literature, opera, music, Debussy, you name it. That was, what it opened up, essentially.
So you were soaking up this whole new cultural landscape. You moved from Philadelphia, you came to London to the Royal College of Art, and there did you start to find ways of expressing your own take on this extraordinary landscape and the worlds that it offered up? Was it as early as that, or were you still in the process of distilling the priorities of what you discovered?
Oh, we were still listening to Frank Zappa. But I know very slow accretion, that arc. I know in Philadelphia there was an amazing art cinema, just like this, which showed art films, and that's where we first discovered Bergman, and particularly the early films of Wajda, the Polish cinema, or the Czech New Wave, and the Czech New Wave. So we're talking mid-60s, but it was, at that time, that was so vital, so powerful in the French New Wave, So the Polish element started to slip in and became more of a reality rather than just you're on a vague illusion of what Poland meant.
Mhm.